Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Mark from the Moonrays. How are you?
Good.
So, you guys played a show last night. How did it go?
It went well. Yeah, we have got a good reception at the Tip Top in Grand Rapids. That's usually a pretty good place to play.
Now, are
And,
you are you from Michigan, or I
yeah,
thought I read that you were from Ohio, but that's not true.
no, we're all from Michigan.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for those who haven't heard of the Moonrays, where did you get your start?
It started Fitz and Michael Hall were founding members. Yeah, boy, I don't know what year that was. It's probably been 30 years. Michael just died last year. I was a substitute for a while for him because he was sort of phasing out. He didn't want to play as much, and then he got the leukemia, and then I became the full-time player. And yeah, so it was Bud Chrysler was the drummer, and Mike Spalding was the bass player, and the present bass player, Jim Braun. Actually, it's the only band Jim's ever been in. He was a former student of Fitz Green, the basically leader now.
So I noticed on some of the songs, there's lots of reverb, and some of the songs don't have any reverb on them. Do you guys are you shooting for that specific tone on certain songs?
Well, after I joined the band, I'm not a straight ahead. I mean, I like music a lot, but we delve off into a little bit of different stuff. It's not straight surf. Like the 13 Tikis last night, they're a straight up surf band, and we're more like a surf and instrumental band. So we do a real fair share of surf numbers, but then we also do instrumentals of like songs you'd probably recognize. We do a few originals, but we try to keep it to songs, like early ventures where they do a lot of cover songs.
Yeah.
We do a lot of covers, but we do things that are out of the ordinary for a surf band. We'll do like, Chris Isaak, Wicked Game, and we'll do like an instrumental version of Tom Petty. We just do in a Beatles song. So we're not, and we do a blues, we do B.B. King, Thrill's Gone in our own way. And so it's sort of a combination now. It has a little bit of, variety in it.
When it comes to doing originals, is Fitz the main songwriter?
Yeah. We've got a couple that we all did together, but Fitz has got a lot of material that he recorded over the years that he never really released. I was over at his place the other day, and I'm like, play me some of his stuff, and it's really, really good. Really interesting stuff, but he's he's just a little eccentric. Actually, he's quite and well, put it this way, I'll and Fizz isn't here, so I can tell you the protocol. You go into his apartment. He lives above a bar in Grand Rapids, and he said, well, if we're going to listen to that, let's listen to it on the porch. Okay. And so I see there's a a door open to the porch. It's like a shotgun apartment over top of this bar, and there's two side by side. And then there's a shared like porch over the back parking lot, like, and he's got a big black cloth hanging up so that I said, what's that there for? It looks like a tunnel out of a Halloween thing. And he said, oh, that's so the people on the other side can't see me. And when he goes onto the porch, so he's got this little tunnel, he go out onto the porch and the windows of the porch were wide open. He said, well, there's no heat out there, but he had the burners on the gas stove just boil, wide open. So it's like boiling in the kitchen, but the porch was nice. And, it was nice sitting out there. And then you sit in a pair of old Lincoln, because he drives Lincoln, like a 80s Lincoln Mark IV, and you sit in a pair of seats out of his old Lincoln, and then there's another back seat against the wall, and then there's a whole, like a wall full of old records, and that's where I heard this stuff that he made over the years. And yeah, my mission is to try to get him to put that out once, because it's really, really good. He's really a unique stylist. He's a very unique player.
He's it seems when he plays kind of off the cuff. Is that what you would say?
No, he actually he plays he'll play almost the same part every time we play. He's got his parts down to what he wants to do, like his solos. And he varies from them a little bit, but depending how, what the reception is and everything, but he's got his, it's a little bit structured, but he's, it's fairly loose, but he's got this, he does some things. I enjoy watching him, I mean, when he's doing a solo, because his right hand becomes like a hummingbird. You can't really see it. And he can do things with the tremolo and the reverb that make his guitar sound. I mean, he can get organ sounds out of the thing, and
Yeah.
he's quite amazing. But his guitar is unplayable for anybody but him. I mean, the action is probably a half an inch high on the end of the fingerboard. It's just you try to play it and you're going, you can't possibly play this thing or be in tune. But he does it, and I don't know how. He's had that Jazz Master since, I think, 1963.
Wow.
And yeah, he's just played the tar out of it. And he had another Jazz Master. And just the other day, after seeing it first in the 80s, I finally got him to, he finally agreed to sell it to me. That's right here.
Wow.
This is a 1961 blonde Jazz Master that I've, I played it last at the gig, and it is just, it's wonderful. So, yeah, that was cool. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, he's a bit structured, and Fitz always calls out the songs. That's that's why I call, he is the leader, because he'll just, you never know. We don't go by a set list, and we've never had a rehearsal ever. So we just, but we, we're playing all together because we've played a lot. So yeah, you never know what he's going to call out.
Is there, how close have you been to getting him to use some of those songs in your set?
To using what?
The songs that he has recorded over the years.
We do a couple of them. We do one called D Raga, which isn't quite like the version that he recorded, because I never heard the version he recorded until now. And I'm trying to think, there's maybe 2 or 3 of them that that I know of. But I only know the version that I do with them because
I lost your video there.
we never rehearsed it and I never heard his original recordings.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So what were you playing before you played the Jag?
The Jazz Master?
Yeah, yeah. What were you playing? Were you playing
Oh,
the Jag before that?
No, I've got a Jaguar too. Can you hold on just a second, Ryan? I better put. I think I'm getting low on power here. I'll plug it in. Can you
Okay.
hold on just a second?
Yeah, sure.
Hold on. Yeah. Sorry about that. It's eating up the power.
Oh, that's all right.
I've got a 63 Jaguar too, a black one.
What's
that I
that?
play
What's
with
that
the band.
beautiful amp behind you?
That my friend, actually, Rick Brown, he's a retired sales rep for Shure microphones, and he built this amp off Cherry. He had some old retired guy do the electronics in it, and he built the amp off Cherry off his property, Cherry and Pine,
Wow.
the cabinets. Yeah, I haven't taken that one to the gig yet. I'd like to because it's lighter because it's in 2 pieces instead of on the gig. I use with the Moonrays. I use a Fender Vibe Reverb with JBLs in it.
Wow.
So it's very heavy. Yeah, and Fitz usually for guitar people that are listening. Fitz has a very unusual rig. He runs into a 63, 2 or 3 Gibson Falcon. And those old Gibson Falcons and 2 RVTs, they have a monitor out plug. So he takes the monitor out of that and plugs into his white Showman, Fender Showman. So he's got the reverb and the tremolo from the Falcon going through the Showman, and then he uses the Showman for the volume.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and that's sort of his sound.
I saw in some of the videos that you were talking about. I saw Eddie Van Halen do this, where he's kind of got his hand on the volume knob and the hand on the tremolo.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, and that's what you're talking about when he gets organ sounds. He's doing it that way, right?
Yeah, well, that and he can get that tremolo going to he just gets it going to a level that he gets it in sync with his right hand. It's hard to explain. He's really a master of it because that's all the effects he's ever had is the reverb and tremolo in the amp. So he gets more out of it than anyone else I know because he knows how to fiddle with it.
So you say,
but yeah, that's one of the things he does. He reaches around and gets the vibrato at the same time sometimes. Yeah.
So you started playing out more. And you said you don't practice. How do you guys get your chops down before you go out and play?
Well, that's a good question. We never really, well, the drummer, Danny DJ, he plays in about 3 or 4 bands, so he's always playing, except now he's got a little bit of a lull. But so he's playing quite a bit, and I try to play wherever I can. I'm not really in another band right now, but every weekend I do a church gig where so I'm playing there, and that actually pays better than these surf gigs a lot of the time. So we make so little sometimes,
Oh yeah.
And this is interesting. If there's guitar geeks there for the church gig, that's a lot of fun because, like I just did it this morning. That's a lot of fun because I use 2 amps, and I have my pedal board is specifically, I leave it, it's specifically for that. And I have a Harmony 420 amp with a 115 in it that I've had, that was my first amp ever. So I've had that 40 some years. And I use that for the organ sound. So on my pedal board, I have a Electro Harmonix B9 pedal, which is the organ simulator. And then I run that into a Neo Effects ventilator, and that goes right into that Harmony amp. Well, hold it, then it goes into a volume pedal, which is important, and then into the Harmony amp, and then the guitar effects go into a AC-15. So I've got the guitar going at the same time I've got the organ, and I can fade the organ in and out with the volume pedal. And it's really fun because it's a challenge. Because like today they had me sing on some stuff too. And so now I'm playing, I got this organ going, I gotta hit the Leslie faster and slower on certain parts, and I got the guitar. And it's just sort of a juggling act, but it's fun. I enjoy doing that. So I'd like to do a 3-piece where I can, have, so then you've got an organ when you want it, you can bring it in. And it sounds very, very convincing. I mean, it's enough to of that flavor to make it sound like there's an organ player a lot of the time. You don't need a lot of it. You just need a flavor. So.
Did you say Leslie?
Yeah.
Those are hard to come by.
Yeah. They're around. That effect is a the Leslie used to be, besides reverb and tremolo, that was the only effect someone had. So a lot of the early effects were trying to be a Leslie. So when the first phase shifter, the Maestro phase shifter, that was trying to imitate a Leslie, and then there's other, the Leslie was very influential on guitar effects.
Yeah.
A lot of things tried to get that sound, and the whole vibe thing, a vibe is trying to be a Leslie. It's trying to sound like a Leslie. Like Jimi Hendrix played the Univibe, and that thing was trying to imitate a Leslie, but it didn't sound quite like a Leslie. It ended up being a whole nother category of guitar effect. So now there's a vibe, and then there's my ventilator, the Leslie simulator. It sounds much more like an actual Leslie than a vibe, but a vibe is like its own category now.
Very cool. Very cool. So what do you have going on right now? Are you planning on releasing anything, or do you have more shows planned?
Well, we get gigs whenever we can. Fitz is that's all Fitz sort of has anymore. Fitz is 73, and I want to get him, I would like to get him to get us record as this new outfit. There was a Moonrays CD before I joined the band when Mike was playing on it, and so there's one CD out, and Fitz has got a couple things he recorded in the past. Which, here's another interesting thing: when Fitz recorded this thing, he did it all. He went to a good studio and he spent the time and the money to do it right. And I said, well, who's playing drums on it? He goes, well, I did it all. I said, what do you mean you did it all? You played the drums? He goes, well, I did it a la carte. It was a la carte. What do you mean by that? He said he went in there and one day he would just do the bass drum on the song. So he would hit out the bass drum, and that's all they did, is record the bass drum. Next time he came, he'd record the snare, and then he'd record the fills. And you can't tell. It sounds like there's really good drummer playing, and it's actually Fitz doing one thing at a time.
Wow.
But you can't tell. It sounds like there's a drummer and there's the hi-hat, there's a whole thing, and he's doing cool fills and everything, but he did everything like one thing at a time.
Where did he record that?
I wish. What's that?
Where did he record that?
I think a lot of it was at River City in Grand Rapids. It's a studio that's been around for, quite a long time. So I think a lot of it started in the 80s, but it took him a long time to do this because he doesn't have a lot of money or make a lot of money. I mean, so it took him over time, he kept working on it.
Yeah.
On that CD. So I would think it, probably that CD probably started in the 80s, and he's had it done for a long time. But my goal is to try to get that thing out. And he's like, oh, you can't, I said, well, give it to me. And I can't give it to it. I don't have it copyrighted. And he's quite protective of, who hears it and stuff. But it's like, Fitz, this is crazy. People got to hear this thing. It's a really, really good stuff. So that's a goal I have, to get his CD out. And then another goal is to have to record some originals with this new Moonrays, the present lineup.
Awesome. Is there when you talked to Fitz, did he have anything he wanted you to say on his behalf?
Not really. He would be very interesting. If you ever want to do it again sometime, we can, because he is, I can talk freely because he's not here. Although I share this, then the cat's out of the bag. But he is one of a kind. And he didn't, he goes, well, that sounds interesting. What would they want to know? It's like, yeah, I can't explain him in a nutshell.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Mark, for your time. Is there anything?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? I love that you talk about the gear. When somebody's
as you see, I'm sort of a gear nut.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like talking gear too, and I could talk all day long. And that's one thing I did too with the Moonrays. I've taken, it's not a typical surf setup. Sometimes, I've taken all different guitars because I like I collected guitars for, I don't know. I bought my Stratocaster. I have a 1965 Stratocaster I bought in 1980, and that was my first vintage guitar. So, and I still have it. I actually bought it on the day John Lennon died.
Oh wow!
And at the time, and I didn't know that at the time that he had died. But at the time I bought it, it was like $575,
Wow.
$598 with tax out the door.
In 1980?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So, some of them are worth some money now, and I'm sort of done. I mean, this Jazzmaster was a big, that was a big goal. I'm glad Fitz finally decided to let it go, and I'll be playing it. I played it last night. It sounded great,
Awesome. Well, I really dug your rhythm playing and your the accompaniment that I saw in the videos, and also on the links you sent me
Mhm.
from that CD, and also the live performances that you sent.
Oh, yeah. We have to thank our. We have a friend of ours. She's a fan of the band, and it's like her hobby to take the videos and post them and everything. So I'm not really the one responsible. she does that, Bojana, and so yeah, she likes doing that, and she likes posting to different groups and stuff. And I'm like, just don't get me in trouble with any groups or something, It's like once, I don't keep up on it. But it's and she made a music page for me, and I'm very not one to go blow my own horn, and all of a sudden I got this music page, and there's always, it's like, oh, all right, but it's cool in a way too, because you get comments from people from all over the world. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that makes me want to, I've done a couple CDs. They're not surf CDs at all. I've done a couple myself, and that makes me want to work more and do another one.
What was the band called that you put the CDs out for?
Well, one is just like under my own name. The other one is a band. We call it Rocket 9, which is an old Sun Ra song. And recorded that in Chicago at my friend Jim Peterick's studio. He was in the Ides of March. He sang that song Vehicle. I traded him and this was years ago, before they became worth so much money. I traded him a Les Paul Jr. for recording time. And so he did the recording, and it was a lot of fun, and had the Ides of March horns play on it. And, had a few guest people on it. I had a Hammond player, Chris Moberly, that I know. And yeah, it was a good experience. And he still owes me 8 hours of recording time. So at some point, I'd like to do one again. It's not surf music, but if I'm a lot longer than Fitz, then I'll probably have to take the reins of the Moonrays, and then I'll probably play that Jazzmaster full time like he did, and do some stuff. But yeah, my stuff's more like pop, rock, blues. I don't know what you call it. You'd have to hear it. I think that Bojana actually put the CD on Bandcamp.
Okay. That must have been what I was listening to then.
It could be. Yeah. Did it have like horns and a bunch of stuff added to it?
Yeah, there was one link that had that it wasn't the Moonrays, it was something different. And I think that was the one I listened to.
That could be it. That could be it. I like all different kinds of music, but with the Moonrays, it's fun because we never have to monkey with a PA system. we just go in and set up our amps and we balance our own selves, and you have people come up, oh, the mix was really good. It's like, there was no mix. It's like, that's us, so that's convenient. You can pull into somewhere and never have to worry about, those 10-minute sound checks, a boom, 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 there's the bass drum. And, sometimes we'll throw a mic in the bass drum and an overhead mic for the drums, but 9 times out of 10, it's just straight up what you hear,
Nice.
which is, that's a nice way to play, just in and out, and don't have to you with all the other stuff.
A lot of musicians talk about feeling the pressure from the drums and the amps blowing on you. Is that like one of the good feelings to make you comfortable on stage?
Oh, you mean the sound level?
Yeah.
Well, we're also we're very dynamic, actually, and Fitz is sort of like the leader in that. I mean, if we're playing a place where it's not like, we play this golf country club every year, they have us for some event, and there was more of like, we got to be laid back, and we'll be more laid back. So we're very dynamic and we listen to each other a lot. So there's not like a certain set level we always have to be. Like some
Right.
bands you hear them and it's like they're, pedal to the floor all the time. And it's like we vary on the situation. If the situation is that we can be loud, we can be loud. We'll be very loud. But if it's, we try to play it by ear. No pun intended, but if it looks like we can play loud, and it's fun to play loud,
Totally.
especially that little vibro verb, that thing, it gets to this certain, if you have it up to like 7 or 8 right in there, I mean, I won't have my volume on the guitar quite all the way up, but then when I do a solo with that thing, it compresses. I can get like feedback at will, I just don't even really have to turn. I just like hold the note and it pumps through those JBLs. So it is fun to play at that level. And Fitz has got that showman, so he never has a problem with, having enough firepower.
Awesome.
His showman is locked into the trunk of his Lincoln because somebody rear-ended him, backing out of the bar parking lot with a pickup truck, and they smashed his trunk lid. So his showman, after the gig, his showman is locked in his trunk. So the other night he brought his what is that thing? It's a very rare old Fender amp. It's a Vibrasonic. With JBLs in it too. The JBLs, they sound so good, but they're so stinking heavy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, Mark, and especially because you took the approach of talking about the gear and how it affects your sound. I really appreciated that, and I'm sure the listeners are gonna enjoy hearing you talk about your music.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ryan. We appreciate the opportunity, and sometimes you'll have to call back when I can get Fitz on the line.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night.
All right.